Today we celebrate the feast of Christ the King. As we come to the end of our liturgical cycle, liturgical year, we celebrate an event that is yet to happen. The return of Christ in glory to defeat the forces of darkness and to establish his kingdom of everlasting peace. It is about the third coming of Christ. There was the incarnation, his sacramental presence after his ascension, and now his return in glory to judge the living and the dead. References to kingship of Jesus were made by the wise men, their gifts of gold, by the waving of palm branches, the equivalent of flags, upon his entrance into Jerusalem, a salute to a king, and by the manner in which he was taken up into heaven by a cloud, his ascension. Christ's kingship is also rooted in that of King David. Christ is a descendant of David, whose throne was foretold to endure forever. In the book of Daniel, after several beasts, that brutal leaders, had persecuted God's people, God promised to send a loyal servant who no earthly authority can challenge. He is to unite and gather God's people. The second reading confirms that the one who is coming in the clouds is Jesus. When he comes, all the people of the earth will lament. They will recognize how much he suffered and died for them, and how much he loved them. When Jesus comes again, we too shall realize how much he has loved us. It will break our hearts to know how much we have disappointed him, how much we have hurt the one who loves us by our sins. Jesus is the Alpha, the beginning, and the Omega, the end, because we come from him and are destined to return to him. However, we have to choose his path if we wish to return to him who created us. The return of the King will also be a day of judgment when we shall be asked to give account of our lives, in particular, what acts of loving kindness had we performed recently. To demonstrate their power over the Jewish nation, the Romans placed a sign over the crucified Jesus that said, "This is the King of the Jews." They wanted all who passed by to know that they were more powerful than he who claimed to be the Messiah and the King of the Jews. The execution of one's enemy, the death of one's enemy, was supposed to represent ultimate victory over one's enemies. And his death was supposed to represent the ultimate defeat of the enemy. However, Christ's resurrection destroyed this paradigm, this lesson. St. Paul tells us that due to the resurrection, death has lost its sting. Christians will no longer fear death. God snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. In the gospel, Jesus tells Pilate that he is a king, But his kingdom was not of this world, and he had armies of angels to defend him, if he wished. Why did Jesus the King choose to suffer? We do not understand the mystery of suffering, including martyrdom for the truth, and the effects of humility and forgiveness to bring about peace and reconciliation. We look back more on lost opportunities, hurts, than we look forward to the current chances and the bright future ahead. Constantly remembering past hurts and digging for more hurts lead to unforgiveness and disunity. They can also become an excuse for our failure when we do not make the effort to succeed. In a world filled with strife and division, let us remain faithful to the teachings of Christ, humbly enduring suffering and rejection for the gospel. This method may not make sense to us, but is the one that has transformed the world.